The golden morning light streamed through the tall windows of Westminster Abbey as dozens of palace staff members hurried about their final preparations. It was 3 days before King Charles III's coronation, and the rehearsal was about to begin. Every detail had to be perfect for the historic ceremony that would officially crown the new monarch. Princess Catherine walked carefully down the long aisle, practicing her steps while wearing a simple dress that matched the length of her actual coronation gown. Behind her, Prince William moved with the measured pace he had been rehearsing for weeks. The weight of his future role as heir to the throne felt heavier than usual in this sacred space where his father would soon be crowned. Queen Camilla stood near the altar, discussing the positioning of the crown jewels with the Archbishop of Canterbury. She wore a navy blue suit and low heels, saving her elaborate coronation outfit for the actual day. Despite her calm exterior, those who knew her well could see the slight tension in her shoulders. This would be her first major royal ceremony as queen consort, and she wanted everything to go smoothly. The rehearsal began with the same formality as the real ceremony would have. Charles walked slowly down the aisle, nodding to the empty pews where world leaders and dignitaries would soon sit. The organist played softly as the royal family took their designated positions. William noticed how his father's face showed both pride and nervousness as he approached the coronation chair. As the practice ceremony continued, William observed the interactions between his stepmother and the various officials. Camilla had always been meticulous about royal protocol, but today she seemed especially focused on every small detail. She quietly corrected the placement of ceremonial items and checked the timing of each segment multiple times. During a brief break, William watched as Camilla spoke with the palace's head of security about the arrival procedures for foreign dignitaries. Her voice was steady and professional, but he could see the careful attention she gave to each concern raised. It was clear that she felt the enormous responsibility of helping to orchestrate such a significant moment in British history. The Archbishop ran through the crowning sequence several times, using a practice crown instead of the actual St. Edward's crown. Each time, Camilla stood in exactly the right position, her movements precise and graceful. She had studied videos of previous coronations and worked with protocol experts for months to prepare for this moment. William found himself admiring his stepmother's dedication. When she first married his father, he had harbored some reservations about her role in their family. But over the years, he had watched her prove herself as a committed member of the royal family. She never sought attention for herself and always put the monarchy's interests first. As the morning progressed, the rehearsal moved through each segment of the ceremony. The choir practiced their hymns, the royal guards rehearsed their formations, and the clergy reviewed their roles. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, but William noticed that Camilla kept checking her notes and asking quiet questions about specific procedures. During the final run-through of the crowning moment, something unexpected happened. As the Archbishop placed the practice crown on Charles's head, one of the ceremonial cushions slipped from its position. The incident was minor and would be easily fixed, but it created a moment of confusion among the staff. Camilla immediately stepped forward to help reorganize the positioning, her years of experience with royal events evident in her quick response. But as she moved, William saw something in her expression that surprised him. Despite her outward composure, there was a flash of genuine concern in her eyes that went beyond the simple mishap with the cushion. The rehearsal concluded successfully, with all the major elements falling into place. The Archbishop expressed satisfaction with how smoothly everything had gone, and the various officials began packing up their materials. The royal family gathered near the altar for a final discussion about the ceremony logistics. Charles seemed pleased with how the practice had gone, chatting easily with the Archbishop about some historical details of the coronation ritual. Catherine reviewed her notes about the timing for her entrance, while other family members discussed their roles in the procession. The atmosphere was positive and confident, but William continued to watch Camilla, who stood slightly apart from the group. She was listening to the conversations around her, but her mind seemed to be elsewhere. When she thought no one was looking, she pulled out her phone and quickly typed what appeared to be an urgent message to someone. As the group began to leave the abbey, William made a decision that would lead to one of the most important conversations of his relationship with his stepmother. Instead of joining the others as they headed toward the waiting cars, he approached Camilla directly. His voice was gentle but serious as he asked if they could speak privately for a few minutes. Camilla looked surprised by the request, but she nodded and suggested they step into one of the smaller chapels adjacent to the main abbey. The space was quiet and peaceful, with afternoon sunlight filtering through ancient stained glass windows. William could see that whatever was troubling his stepmother was more significant than a simple case of pre-ceremony nerves. As they stood in the chapel, William realized that this conversation might reveal something important about the challenges facing their family as they prepared for the coronation. The next few minutes would change his understanding of both Camilla's position and the complex dynamics surrounding his father's historic moment. The small chapel felt intimate and private compared to the grand scale of Westminster Abbey's main sanctuary. Sunlight painted colorful patterns on the stone floor through the medieval stained glass windows. William gestured toward two wooden chairs near the altar, and both he and Camilla sat down. The silence between them filled with unspoken questions. Camilla folded her hands in her lap, her usual composed demeanor showing small cracks of uncertainty. She had always maintained a professional distance with William, respecting his position as heir while building their relationship slowly over the years. This unexpected request for a private conversation clearly caught her off guard. William leaned forward slightly, his voice warm but direct. He told Camilla that he had noticed her tension during the rehearsal and that it seemed to go beyond normal pre-ceremony nerves. As someone who had experienced many royal events, he could recognize when stress was about something more serious than logistics and timing. For a moment, Camilla remained quiet, considering how much to share. She had always been careful not to burden Charles's children with her concerns about royal life. Her role as stepmother had required careful navigation, especially given the sensitive history surrounding her marriage to their father and the lasting memory of Princess Diana. Finally, Camilla began to speak, her voice softer than usual. She explained that the rehearsal had made the reality of the coronation feel overwhelming in a way she hadn't expected. While she had been preparing for months, seeing everything come together in Westminster Abbey had triggered concerns she had been trying to manage privately. The heart of her worry, she revealed, centered on her role as Queen Consort and how the public would receive her during such a significant moment in British history. Despite years of positive public engagements and growing acceptance of her marriage to Charles, she still felt the weight of comparison to previous queens and the expectations that came with the title. William listened carefully as Camilla shared her concerns about the media coverage surrounding the coronation. She had been receiving briefings from the palace communications team about the international attention the ceremony would receive. The prospect of billions of people watching her every move during the service felt daunting, especially given the historical significance of the moment. More specifically, Camilla admitted that she was worried about a particular aspect of the ceremony that had been causing her sleepless nights. During the coronation, there would be a moment when she would be crowned as Queen Consort. Separate from Charles's crowning as king, this would be the first time she officially received a royal title in such a public setting. The concern wasn't about her ability to perform the ceremonial aspects correctly. She had practiced those elements extensively and felt confident about the logistics. Instead, she was worried about the emotional weight of the moment and whether she would be able to maintain her composure when she felt so many eyes watching her every reaction. William was surprised by this admission. Throughout their relationship, he had seen Camilla handle difficult situations with remarkable grace. She had faced hostile media coverage, navigated complex family dynamics, and gradually built public support through years of dedicated service. He hadn't realized that the coronation was affecting her so deeply, Camilla continued, explaining that she had been having conversations with her own family about the pressures she was feeling. Her children from her first marriage had been supportive, but they didn't fully understand the unique challenges of royal life. She felt somewhat isolated in dealing with these concerns because so few people could relate to the experience of becoming queen consort. The conversation took a deeper turn when Camilla shared something that William found particularly moving. She told him that she had been thinking a lot about Princess Diana during the preparation for the coronation, not in a competitive way, but with genuine respect for the legacy Diana had left and the love the public still held for William and Harry's mother. Camilla explained that she never wanted her role as queen consort to diminish Diana's memory or the impact she had on the monarchy. She had always tried to find her own path within the royal family while being mindful of the sensitive dynamics surrounding her relationship with Charles. The coronation would mark a new chapter, and she wanted to honor that responsibility appropriately. William was touched by this revelation. It showed a side of Camilla that he hadn't fully appreciated before: her genuine care for his family's feelings and her thoughtful approach to her role in their lives. The fact that she was thinking about his mother in this context demonstrated her understanding of the complex emotions surrounding the coronation. As they continued talking, Camilla revealed another source of anxiety that had been weighing on her mind. She had been receiving security briefings about potential protests planned around the coronation. While the palace security team was confident about their preparations, the possibility of public demonstrations during such an important ceremony added another layer of stress. The security concerns weren't just about her personal safety, but about the potential impact on the ceremony itself. Camilla worried that any disruptions might overshadow Charles's moment of becoming king, something she desperately wanted to avoid. Her protective instincts toward her husband were evident as she spoke about wanting his coronation to be remembered as the dignified, historic occasion it deserved to be. William began to understand that Camilla's concerns were not about her own comfort or image, but about her deep sense of responsibility toward the monarchy and her family. She had spent years proving her commitment to royal duty, and the coronation represented the ultimate test of her ability to serve the crown with dignity and grace. The conversation had revealed layers of complexity in Camilla's experience that William hadn't previously considered. Her vulnerability in sharing these concerns showed a trust in their relationship that marked a new level of understanding between them. As they sat in the peaceful chapel, both realized that this discussion was changing their dynamic in significant ways. The weight of Camilla's revelations settled between them in the quiet chapel. William found himself seeing his stepmother in an entirely new light. Her concerns weren't those of someone seeking attention or glory, but of a woman genuinely committed to serving the crown while carrying the burden of public scrutiny and historical expectations. William chose his words carefully as he began to respond to what Camilla had shared. He told her that her worries were understandable, but that she was underestimating the respect she had earned over the years. From his perspective as heir to the throne, he had watched her handle numerous challenges with dignity and intelligence that had impressed both the royal family and the British public. He reminded Camilla of specific moments when she had shown exceptional grace under pressure. During difficult periods when the monarchy faced criticism, she had continued her royal duties without complaint. When family members experienced personal challenges, she had provided steady support without seeking recognition. Her charitable work had made real differences in people's lives, particularly her advocacy for literacy and support for victims of domestic violence. William also shared his own experiences with public pressure and media attention. As someone who had grown up in the spotlight and had dealt with intense scrutiny throughout his life, he understood the anxiety that came with knowing millions of people would be watching every gesture and expression. The coronation would indeed be challenging, but she had already proven her ability to handle such situations. The conversation took a more personal turn when William told Camilla how much he appreciated her relationship with his father. He had watched Charles become happier and more confident since their marriage. The stability and companionship she provided had made his father a better king, and that contribution deserved recognition rather than worry about public perception. Camilla seemed surprised by the depth of William's support. Their relationship had always been respectful but somewhat formal. This level of personal conversation was new territory for both of them. She admitted that she had sometimes wondered whether Charles's children truly accepted her role in their family. Despite their polite interactions over the years, William assured her that any initial reservations had long since been replaced by genuine appreciation for her positive influence on their father and her dedication to royal service. He told her that both he and Catherine had come to see her as a valuable member of their family, someone they respected and trusted. Harry's relationship with the family had become complicated, but that had nothing to do with Camilla personally. The discussion then moved to more practical concerns about the coronation ceremony. William suggested that Camilla's anxiety might be reduced by focusing on specific aspects of the day that she could control, rather than worrying about the millions of viewers. She could concentrate on the people who would actually be in Westminster Abbey, family members, friends, and dignitaries who supported her and Charles. He also recommended that she consider the historical significance of her role from a different perspective. Instead of feeling burdened by comparisons to previous queens, she could embrace the opportunity to represent a modern approach to royal service. Her life experiences, including her first marriage and her years as a working member of the royal family, had given her a unique understanding of contemporary British society. William shared a personal insight that surprised Camilla. He told her that he had been watching how she handled the transition to her new title, and he was impressed by her thoughtful approach to the responsibilities that came with being queen consort. She had found ways to honor royal traditions while also bringing her own perspective to the role. As they continued talking, William revealed something that provided Camilla with a new way of thinking about the coronation. He told her that he believed the ceremony was not just about crowning Charles as king, but about officially recognizing the partnership that had already been serving the British people effectively for years. The public crowning would simply acknowledge what many people already understood about her contribution to the monarchy. This perspective seemed to resonate with Camilla. She had always seen her role as supporting Charles and the institution of the monarchy rather than seeking personal recognition. William's framing of the coronation as an acknowledgement of that service rather than a test of her worthiness provided a more comfortable way to approach the ceremony. The conversation also touched on practical strategies for managing the stress of the day itself. William suggested that Camilla identify specific family members or friends in the congregation who could serve as focal points during moments when she felt overwhelmed. Making eye contact with supportive faces could help ground her during the more intense parts of the ceremony. He also shared techniques he had learned for dealing with media attention during major events. Rather than trying to ignore the cameras entirely, he had found it helpful to remember that most viewers were genuinely interested in celebrating the occasion rather than looking for mistakes or problems. The majority of people watching the coronation would be hoping for its success, not waiting for something to go wrong. Camilla began to relax as their conversation continued. The combination of William's reassurance and his practical suggestions was helping her reframe her concerns about the coronation. She realized that her anxiety had been amplified by focusing too much on hypothetical problems rather than building on the strength and experience she had already demonstrated. William also addressed Camilla's concerns about honoring Princess Diana's memory. He told her that the best way to respect his mother's legacy was to continue serving the British people with the same dedication Diana had shown. The monarchy needed people who cared deeply about their responsibilities, and Camilla had consistently demonstrated that commitment. As their conversation began to wind down, both William and Camilla realized that something significant had shifted in their relationship. The formal politeness that had characterized their interactions had been replaced by genuine understanding and mutual respect. This discussion had created a foundation for a closer family bond that would serve them well in the years ahead. The atmosphere in the chapel had transformed from tension to understanding as William and Camilla continued their conversation. The late afternoon sun was beginning to cast longer shadows through the stained glass windows, creating an almost sacred feeling in the small space where they sat. Both realized they were experiencing a breakthrough in their relationship that would have lasting significance for their family. William decided to share something deeply personal that he had never discussed with Camilla before. He told her about a conversation he had with his father several months earlier, when Charles had expressed his own concerns about the coronation and his hopes for how Camilla would be received by the public and the media. Charles had confided that one of his greatest wishes was for his children to fully accept and support Camilla in her new role. This revelation clearly moved Camilla. She had always sensed that Charles cared deeply about his relationship with William and Harry, but she hadn't realized how much thought he had given to her integration into the family dynamic. Learning that Charles had specifically hoped for William's acceptance and support made her feel both grateful and slightly overwhelmed by the responsibility. William continued by explaining that his father's happiness had been evident to everyone in the family since his marriage to Camilla. The transformation in Charles's demeanor and confidence had been remarkable to witness. As someone who had sometimes struggled with the pressures of royal life, Charles had found stability and joy in his partnership with Camilla that made him more effective in his royal duties. The conversation then took an unexpected turn when Camilla shared something she had never told anyone in the royal family. She admitted that there were times when she questioned whether she had made the right decision in marrying Charles, not because she didn't love him, but because she worried about the impact on his relationship with his children and the additional scrutiny it brought to their family. These doubts had been particularly strong in the early years of their marriage, when media coverage was often negative and public opinion polls showed mixed reactions to their relationship. Camilla had sometimes wondered whether Charles would have been better off with someone who came with less historical baggage and fewer complications. William was touched by this honest admission. He told Camilla that any initial difficulties had been far outweighed by the positive changes her presence had brought to their family. Not only had she made Charles happier, but she had also proven herself as a dedicated royal who genuinely cared about the people and causes she supported. He shared specific examples of moments when Camilla's influence had been particularly valuable. During family crises, she had provided calm counsel and practical support. When dealing with complex protocol issues, her attention to detail and respect for tradition had helped avoid potential problems. Her work with various charities had brought positive attention to important causes and demonstrated the monarchy's continued relevance to contemporary British society. The discussion moved to Camilla's concerns about the specific moment during the coronation when she would be crowned as queen consort. She admitted that she had been rehearsing not just the physical movements but also trying to prepare herself emotionally for the weight of that symbolic moment. The idea of officially receiving a crown felt overwhelming in ways she hadn't anticipated. William helped her think about that moment differently. He suggested that rather than focusing on the formality and symbolism of receiving the crown, she could think about it as a recognition of the service she had already been providing. The crown would simply be an external acknowledgement of the role she had been fulfilling for years as Charles's partner and supporter. He also shared his own perspective on royal ceremonies and the emotions they could trigger. As someone who had participated in many formal occasions, including his own wedding at Westminster Abbey, William understood how the combination of personal feelings and public attention could create intense emotional experiences. The key was to remain grounded in the meaning of the occasion rather than getting overwhelmed by its scale. Camilla found this advice particularly helpful. She had been so focused on the public aspects of the coronation that she had lost sight of its personal significance. The ceremony was meant to celebrate Charles's reign and their partnership, not to test her worthiness or expose her to criticism. This shift in perspective made the upcoming event feel less like a performance and more like a meaningful milestone. The conversation also addressed some practical concerns that had been troubling Camilla. She had been worried about the timing of various elements during the ceremony and whether she would be able to coordinate her movements correctly with all the other participants. William reminded her that she had successfully navigated many complex royal events, and that the extensive rehearsals had prepared her well for the logistics. William also addressed Camilla's concerns about potential protests or disruptions during the coronation. While he acknowledged that security briefings could be unsettling, he pointed out that the palace security team had extensive experience managing large public events. The coronation would have multiple layers of protection, and any potential problems would be handled professionally without disrupting the ceremony itself. More importantly, William helped Camilla understand that the vast majority of people attending or watching the coronation would be genuinely celebrating the occasion. Even those who might have reservations about the monarchy in general typically respected the historical significance of coronation ceremonies. The focus would be on the positive aspects of the day rather than on potential problems or controversies. As their conversation continued, Camilla began to share some of her hopes and aspirations for her role as queen consort. She talked about the charitable causes she wanted to continue supporting and new initiatives she hoped to develop. Her passion for literacy programs and her work with organizations supporting victims of domestic violence had already made significant impacts, and she wanted to expand those efforts. William was impressed by the thoughtfulness of Camilla's plans for her expanded role. Rather than simply enjoying the status that came with being queen consort, she was clearly focused on using her position to make meaningful contributions to British society. This commitment to service aligned perfectly with the values that had guided the royal family for generations. The discussion also touched on family dynamics and how the coronation might affect relationships within the royal family. William assured Camilla that Catherine was looking forward to supporting her during the ceremony and in her new role afterward. The two women had developed a comfortable working relationship over the years, and Catherine respected Camilla's experience and dedication to royal service. As their conversation deepened, William decided to address the most sensitive topic that had been underlying much of their discussion. He spoke directly about Princess Diana and how Camilla's role in the family related to his mother's memory. This was territory they had never explored together, but William felt it was important for their relationship moving forward. William told Camilla that he had come to understand over the years that honoring his mother's memory didn't require anyone to diminish Camilla's contributions to their family. Diana would always hold a special place in his heart and in the history of the royal family, but that didn't mean there wasn't room for Camilla to have her own important role in their lives and in the monarchy. He shared that he had learned this lesson gradually through watching how Camilla had consistently shown respect for Diana's legacy while never trying to replace or compete with her memory. Camilla had found her own path within the family, focusing on supporting Charles and contributing to royal duties without seeking to replicate Diana's approach or style. This conversation seemed to provide Camilla with tremendous relief. She admitted that one of her deepest concerns about becoming queen consort was whether it would somehow diminish Diana's legacy or upset William and Harry. She had always tried to be sensitive about Diana's continued importance to her sons and to the British public. William assured her that his mother would have wanted his father to be happy and supported in his royal duties. Diana had always prioritized the well-being of her family and the success of the monarchy, even during difficult times. From that perspective, Camilla's positive influence on Charles and her dedicated service would have earned Diana's respect and appreciation. The conversation then moved to more personal territory as William shared his observations about how Camilla had handled the complex dynamics of becoming a stepmother to adults who had already experienced significant loss and trauma. He acknowledged that it couldn't have been easy for her to navigate those relationships, especially given the intense public scrutiny surrounding their family. William told Camilla that he appreciated how she had never tried to force a maternal relationship with him and Harry, but had instead built their connections gradually through shared experiences and mutual respect. Her approach had been patient and understanding, allowing their relationships to develop naturally rather than trying to rush into inappropriate levels of intimacy. He also recognized that Camilla had often put his and Harry's needs ahead of her own comfort. During family events or public appearances, she had been careful to ensure that Diana's sons remained the focus of attention when appropriate. She had never tried to insert herself into situations where her presence might complicate their grieving process or their connection to their mother's memory. Camilla was visibly moved by these acknowledgments. She told William that being a stepmother to him and Harry had been one of the most challenging and rewarding aspects of her marriage to Charles. She had wanted to be supportive without overstepping boundaries, and she had often worried about whether she was handling the relationships correctly. The discussion then turned to how the coronation might affect the broader public perception of Camilla and her role in the royal family. William pointed out that public opinion had shifted significantly over the years, with polls showing increased acceptance and respect for Camilla's contributions to royal life. Her consistent dedication to duty and her genuine care for the causes she supported had gradually won over many people who had initially been skeptical about her marriage to Charles. William also addressed Camilla's concerns about media coverage during and after the coronation. He reminded her that the press had become much more respectful in their coverage of royal family members, partly due to lessons learned from the tragic consequences of aggressive media pursuit of Princess Diana. The current media environment, while still challenging, was generally more professional and less intrusive than it had been in previous decades. More importantly, William helped Camilla understand that she had already proven her ability to handle media attention effectively. Over the years, she had developed a comfortable public persona that was authentic and relatable, while maintaining appropriate royal dignity. Her interactions with the press during official engagements had been consistently professional and positive. As their conversation continued, William shared his perspective on what the coronation would mean for the future of the monarchy. He saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate the institution's ability to evolve and adapt while maintaining its essential traditions and values. Camilla's role as queen consort would be part of that evolution, showing that the royal family could embrace change while honoring its history. William also discussed his own future responsibilities as heir to the throne and how much he valued having Camilla as an experienced advisor and family member. Her years of royal service had given her insights that would be valuable to him as he prepared for his eventual role as king. He looked forward to continuing to learn from her experience and wisdom. The conversation touched on practical aspects of their working relationship after the coronation. William and Catherine had been gradually taking on more royal duties as Charles and Camilla had moved into their new roles as monarch and queen consort. This transition required coordination and communication between the two couples to ensure that their various charitable and official commitments complemented rather than competed with each other. Camilla shared her thoughts about this collaborative approach to royal duties. She was eager to support William and Catherine as they expanded their roles while ensuring that her own activities as queen consort added value to the monarchy's overall mission. She had been impressed by the younger couple's innovative approaches to royal engagement and wanted to learn from their methods while contributing her own experience and perspectives. As the afternoon light began to fade in the chapel, both William and Camilla realized that their conversation had accomplished something neither had fully expected. They had moved from a formal, polite relationship to a genuine family bond built on mutual respect and understanding. The coronation no longer felt like a source of anxiety for Camilla, but rather an opportunity to celebrate the strong foundation they had built as a family. William concluded this portion of their discussion by telling Camilla that he was proud to call her family and that he was looking forward to supporting her in her new role as queen consort. He wanted her to know that she could count on his and Catherine's full support as they all worked together to serve the British people and maintain the strength and relevance of the monarchy for future generations. The chapel had grown quiet except for the distant sounds of London traffic filtering through the ancient walls. William and Camilla sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both processing the depth of understanding they had reached through their conversation. The transformation in their relationship felt significant and permanent, marking a new chapter in their family dynamics. William made a decision that would seal the importance of their discussion. He told Camilla that he wanted to make a public statement of support for her role as queen consort, either during the coronation coverage or in the days following the ceremony. He felt it was important for the British people and the international community to understand that the royal family was united in supporting her new position. This suggestion surprised Camilla, who had never expected such a direct endorsement from her stepson. She was touched by the offer but also concerned about whether such a statement might draw unwanted attention to family dynamics rather than focusing on the coronation itself. Her instinct was always to avoid anything that might overshadow Charles's important moment. William explained his thinking behind the proposal. He believed that a clear statement of family unity would actually strengthen the monarchy and help ensure that the coronation was remembered as a positive, successful event. By demonstrating that the royal family was genuinely supportive of Camilla's role, any potential controversies or criticisms would be minimized. He also pointed out that such a statement would be consistent with his role as heir to the throne. As the future king, his public support for the current queen consort would show continuity and stability within the monarchy. It would signal to the British people and the Commonwealth realms that the royal family was working together effectively to serve their constitutional duties. Camilla considered this proposal carefully. She recognized the value of family unity but remained concerned about the timing and potential for misinterpretation. After some discussion, they agreed that any public statement should be carefully coordinated with the palace communications team to ensure it enhanced rather than complicated the coronation coverage. As their conversation moved toward its conclusion, William shared one final insight that proved to be particularly meaningful for Camilla. He told her that he had been watching how she handled the various challenges and responsibilities of royal life, and he had come to see her as a role model for how to serve the monarchy with dignity while maintaining one's authentic personality. This observation resonated deeply with Camilla because it addressed one of her ongoing struggles as a royal family member. She had always tried to balance respect for royal traditions with her own natural approach to engaging with people and causes she cared about. Learning that William saw this balance as successful rather than inadequate gave her confidence about her future role as queen consort. William also shared his appreciation for how Camilla had handled the gradual evolution of her public role over the years. Rather than seeking immediate acceptance or recognition, she had built her reputation slowly through consistent service and genuine commitment to her duties. This patient approach had ultimately been more effective than any dramatic gestures or publicity campaigns could have been. The conversation concluded with practical discussions about the coronation day itself. William offered to check in with Camilla during the ceremony if she seemed to need support or reassurance. They agreed on subtle signals they could use to communicate during the formal proceedings, ensuring that she felt connected to family members, even during the most intense moments of the day. Camilla expressed her gratitude for William's support and understanding. She told him that their conversation had transformed her perspective on the coronation from something to be endured to something to be celebrated. The knowledge that she had the genuine backing of her stepson made all the difference in how she approached her new responsibilities. As they prepared to leave the chapel, both William and Camilla understood that their relationship had fundamentally changed. The formal politeness of previous years had been replaced by genuine family bonds built on mutual respect and shared commitment to serving the monarchy. This foundation would serve them well as they faced the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. The coronation day itself proved to be everything they had hoped for and more. Camilla moved through the ceremony with grace and confidence, her earlier anxieties replaced by a sense of purpose and belonging. When the moment came for her to be crowned as queen consort, she looked toward the congregation and saw William's encouraging smile, reminding her of their conversation and his support. The media coverage of the coronation was overwhelmingly positive, with particular praise for the dignity and authenticity that Camilla brought to her new role. Commentators noted the evident family unity and the seamless way that all members of the royal family supported each other throughout the historic ceremony. In the weeks following the coronation, the relationship between William and Camilla continued to strengthen. They began working together more closely on royal duties, with William often seeking her advice on complex protocol issues and charitable initiatives. Catherine also developed a closer working relationship with Camilla, and the four family members formed an effective team for representing the monarchy. The conversation in Westminster Abbey's chapel had accomplished more than either William or Camilla had anticipated. It had not only resolved immediate concerns about the coronation, but had also established a foundation for family cooperation that would benefit the monarchy for years to come. Their honest discussion about fears, hopes, and shared values had created bonds that would help them navigate future challenges together. Looking back on that afternoon, both William and Camilla would remember it as a turning point in their relationship and in their understanding of their roles within the royal family. The conversation had demonstrated that even complex family dynamics could be transformed through honest communication and mutual respect. Most importantly, it had shown that the monarchy's strength lay not just in its traditions and ceremonies, but